Hey everyone, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Tim
Pskowski.
Pskowski, so you do pronounce
Pskowski,
the P.
yeah.
Alright, Standard Open champion for this weekend. You were playing Caw-Blade, a deck a lot of players counted down and out.
Yeah, I've been watching the Moto results because there was no M12, but they did have tons of events post banning, and the big decks were Blue-Black Control, Tempered Steel. The Caw-Blade deck was like a player, and I really like the blue. It's not really fish, but it is like an aggro control deck. You can get aggressive, and then you have a lot of just really good matchups in the format. So it felt like a good all-around deck.
So you chose this version. A lot of players, like the gravitational shift version showed up last week. Players have been trying different things. What led you to Hero Blade Holds and Blade Splicers over the Mirror Angel gravitational shift version?
I'd been looking at daily events on Magic Online, and there was a list that looked really clean. It was just a lot of 4s, and then like 3 Dismember, 3 Sword, 2 Gideon, 1 Elspeth. So that was the list I based it on, and I played 22 mans with it, so I was pretty comfortable with the list. Blade Splicer is just really, really good because the control decks can't deal with him effectively. They generally have to Wrath just a Blade Splicer, or kill the token and still be dealing with the 1/1, which is relevant versus all their planeswalkers. And then Hero of Blade Hold is a lot more vulnerable, but if he lives and attacks once, you win 90% of those games.
It seemed ridiculous whenever we used to watch him attack on the weekend. The game is almost pretty much over.
Yeah, I think one time this weekend I attacked twice with a Hero of Blade Hold, and that wasn't lethal. I was 3 points short or something. Or no, I think he went to 1. He went to 1 on the second attack. So what can you do?
So it's Blue-White is an interesting player in the metagame. Obviously, Caw-Blade was a big deck. Bannings happened, still here. What do you feel your matchups are with this version of the deck?
Interestingly enough, I never played against Valakut or Splinter Twin this event. So Valakut, I played a decent bit online. It's favorable, but you don't crush it. You can. I was only playing the 2 sword. If you want a 3rd sword, that'll really improve the matchup. And then a 4th Flash Freeze was actually the last card I cut from my sideboard, which we might get to. Splinter Twin's a little closer. You can definitely win. I'm sort of banking on them being a lot less consistent than me. The other thing I really like about the aggressive blue-white decks, as opposed to just the blue-white control, is you put pressure on your opponents. Right. So if they stumble, they're just done. And also, I really like the games where an aggressive deck will get you to 6, and where a control deck might have to take a while to kill them. In this deck, you're on 6, you have a Blade Splicer and a hero, and 2 turns later the game's over. So you can really cut down on the number of outs your opponent has with a quick clock.
Well, you mentioned your sideboards. How about we talk about that a little bit real fast? So, Flash Freeze, mainly for Valakut?
Valakut, and then in the red matchup, it's an upgrade to Mana Leak, and it is nice that you can stop a Lightning Bolt on turn 4, which Mana Leak doesn't do very well.
Okay, Core Firewalker, red matchup. You like that? Yeah. You like that over other options? A lot of people have Timely Reinforcements.
I've never played with Timely Reinforcements. I think it might be better, but I just wasn't sure, so I went with the Tried and True. Because a lot of people were talking about Shrine, but if they have the Shrine your Core Firewalker, you're probably time walking them twice, and you've got O-Ring and stuff, so I'm not too worried about Shrine. It's basically Dismember. Right. And you have 4 Preordain, so you're going to see more Firewalkers than they're going to see Dismembers. And then also, there's Hero of Blade Hold that they need to Dismember. Right. So you put a lot of pressure on that, and if you stick a Firewalker, it's very hard to lose. Though I did lose a game.
You lost a game when you cast Firewalker against red?
Yeah, it was interesting. I played a Firewalker on a pretty high life total, but my deck just didn't do anything else that game, and he cast 2 Chandra's Phoenix and was just attacking me in the air. And then one turn cast a Hero of Oxid Ridge and attacked with everything, which meant I ate a bunch of his guys, but he just got in enough damage that I was dead. So the Chandra's Phoenix is a card that definitely impresses me.
How about Mental Misstep? So that's a card that's in a lot of Legacy play, probably playing in your Legacy deck, right? But in Standard, how does that fit in? Mental
Misstep, I probably have an unusual affinity for in Standard. I played it in my sideboard when I won a PTQ with Darkblade. I played it in my sideboard of Splinter Twin in Baltimore, and then I played it today. It was mostly for the red matchup, just because the first time I played red, all 3 games went Goblin Guy, Teetering Peaks, go. For his first 2 turns. Okay. And so you start the game on 14, which is pretty rough.
Yeah.
That was one of the games I lost where I played a Firewalker because he had a Phoenix. And so I like Misstep just if you can hit their guide. I played against Kadoltha red, where it's obviously insane. It counters, Kicked Bushwhackers and Kadaltha Rebirth. And then the other thing I really like at Verse is Splinter Twin, because they're relying very heavily on Dispel now.
Right.
So if you just have one of your answers, a Dismember, a Purge, counter spells, and they're relying on like multiple Dispels, not only can you counter their Dispels, but you can do it for 0 mana, and it's usually, a question of mana when you have those counter wars, so I like the edge it gives you there.
Yeah, it seems like good against a lot of beat down decks. Like against Dispel, I hadn't even considered that, but gets their Dispels, hits Preordained Ponder if you want to do that.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
so.
Like also, versus Twin, you can counter like half their deck. So I mean, you're not going to counter everything, but
day for the beat down decks makes sense.
Yeah, Tempered Seal is the one deck I lost to yesterday, and it's a really bad matchup, and it's the reason I played Days. But I think playing 2-day was a little, it wasn't enough to beat the deck. But it's still nice to have versus Vampires, versus the Goblin version of Red. So
sure. Purge for red decks and for
Red
Vampires.
and Twin and Vampires. I would have liked to have a third. I drew it, I think, once this tournament, and I boarded it in a lot. It's a really good card when you want it. So.
And then lastly, this card's pretty interesting. Stave Off. So we were talking, we're like, against Splinter Twin, you can stop the Splinter Twin combo, and it protects your own guys. What was the idea between the one Stave Off? What were you thinking when you put that card in your sideboard?
I had a Dismember in my sideboard, because I'm only playing 2 Dismember main deck.
Right.
Actually, want to touch quickly on the main deck. I'm playing 2 Oblivion Ring over into the Royal and Dismember, which I've been playing online. And Oblivion Ring was amazing, and I want a third somewhere in the deck next time I play it.
Sure.
But it's not good for Splinter Twin. The Stave Off was originally going to be a Dismember. The problem is, whenever you're playing against a deck like Splinter Twin that has a lot of answers for hate, you want to try and beat them in a way they're not prepared for. So if you ever stave off their Deceiver Exarch when they have Mutagenic Growth in hand, you would have lost that game with Dismember. Right. So it was just sort of a little bit of an unexpected angle. And then, I brought it in versus Red, because you can play, it's a little harder than the mana, but you do have a lot of dual lands. And so if you can play, a turn 3 Firewalker with white and stave off up, you'll win.
Yeah, they can't Dismember it, right?
Yeah.
So that makes total sense.
Unless they have 2 Chandra's Phoenix, because I had to stave off that game and it did nothing.
So the real fast on the main deck too. What would you change here? I think 27 lands. That was pretty good.
I think 27 lands is mandatory.
Yeah.
You flood occasionally, but you have 7 man lands and 4 edges, so flooding isn't bad. And if you miss land drops in this deck, it is not as forgiving as Stoneforge Mystic was.
Right, because you can't just rely on your Mystic. You have to play stuff every turn.
And playing Hawk is very good, but you also want to be able to play 2 Hawks on turn 4.
Right,
and
exactly. So. Elspeth, Tyrell, Jarvis, you said he recommended this to you, and we were watching him play. It seemed pretty good. Would you consider more Elspeths? Or?
No, I think 3 Planeswalkers. A lot of the numbers in the deck. I want 2.5 Sword of Feast and Famine. I think 3 Planeswalkers is the exact right number. I don't want any Jace Blair, and I just want the 5s. Elspeth, I played over Gideon for a couple reasons. One, I think it's a little bit better in the red matchup, though a little bit worse in other aggro matchups. In round 1, I gained 8 life off of it, which put me on 20, which was good because he attacked for 15 next turn. The Elspeth is also something I like if a lot of people play Oblivion Ring, because being able to Elspeth, make 3 guys, you've more or less blanked their Oblivion Ring, whereas Gideon Jura +2, they Oblivion Ring, and you're way behind.
Right, or even the Hex Mages in your final round opponent's match, right? The Hex Mage, you're Gideon, you're nowhere. Hex Mage, Elspeth, at least you have some guys.
Yeah, and so I don't know, Elspeth is also nice, if you can protect her with people and tick her up. I won a game where I ultimated Elspeth to kill all of my opponent's creatures, activate Colonnade, attack for exactly lethal with my tokens in Colonnade.
Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. And it keeps your Blade Splicer tokens too, which is pretty convenient.
Yeah, Blade Splicer makes tokens, Elspeth makes tokens, Hero of Bladehold makes tokens. A lot of times Hero will attack once and then they find the removal spell, and the leftover tokens get more value with Elspeth.
What would you change in general about your main deck? You said Oblivion Rings, you'd want to play more of those. Anything else in particular?
I want to play a 3rd Oblivion Ring. It might be sideboard. I think the main deck I would actually leave alone. The numbers felt really good. The 1 Sun Titan was really good whenever I cast him. You need 27 land. I think the 3 Ink Moth. I think the main deck is fine. The sideboard I might change some numbers around, because I think Tempered Steel is going to get a lot bigger.
I agree. I think maybe more days or something like that.
Yeah, I think I would go to 4-day. I would cut. Twin and Valakut did really poorly this week, and Red, so I might be okay cutting some of that hate to go to 4 days.
Yeah. some combination, maybe less purges, maybe less.
The stave off could go, and maybe a misstep.
Fair enough. So a couple of reader questions for people watching at home. Someone asked, Samuel asked, why don't you play Jace Balerion or other card advantage cards? So you said you like 3 Planeswalkers. You tried Jace, you clearly didn't like him. What was the reasoning there?
Jace is not what the deck wants to do. The deck, like, your best draws are like turn 2 Squadron Hawk, turn 3 Blade Splicer, and you still have all these Hawks. So, like, you don't want to go turn 2 Hawk, turn 3 Jace, because that's 2 completely different plans. Like, this deck wants to get creatures on the board. Like, the way Jace is good versus control decks. Like, that's why you play Jace.
Right.
Versus Twin or Valakut, that sort of deck, I want to race them. I don't want to try and out-control them because I'm not really a true control deck. So versus those, you want creatures. Versus aggro decks, you don't want Jace, you want creatures. And then versus control decks, they have Jace, but the problem is they play a Jace, and you have, like, a Squadron Hawk or 2 in play, and you can attack Jace. And then, like, Blade Splicer is awesome because they play a Jace, you play a Blade Splicer, and they have to Wrath of God. And then sometimes you have Spell Pierce for the Wrath of God, and, like, they're just dead. So, like, multiple games, my opponents were more or less dead to, like, a turn 3 or 4 Blade Splicer when they were playing a control deck. So, like, I in no way would want to replace that with Jace.
Someone asked, did you want any cards like Baneslayer Angel or Batterskull or something, those kind of effects?
I actually was going to have a Baneslayer Angel in the sideboard for the same, pressure their removal. They only have 4 dismembers for Firewalkers and stuff. However, I played it against Red once online in like 20 matches. It was like my second to last match. I'd been playing 4 core Firewalkers the entire time. They've been useless. Clearly, I lose this match. But what made me change the Baneslayer Angel idea is Combust.
Yeah.
Because the smart Red players are playing Combust for Splinter Twin, or at least some of them are. And Combust kills Deceiver Exarch. It also kills Hero of Bladehold, so they should bring it in versus me, because killing Hero is hard. And if they combust your Baneslayer Angel, you just want to die. So.
Right. And they have Dismember too, anyway, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Baneslayer's nice, and if Combust wasn't in the format, I probably would have played one.
Fair enough. I think it's pretty neat, like how you just took the blue-white deck, you worked on a lot of Magic Online, you kind of ignored the kind of cute things some people were doing with Gravitational Shift, and really just went for a more streamlined version, be aggressive and defensive. Did you consider any more swords in your sideboard at all, potentially, to bring in?
No, the swords are a lot worse in the mirror than they used to be. I think Sword of War and Peace might be worth it in the mirror, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And I hadn't tested that. Like, if I did more testing with the mirror, I might play a Sword of War and Peace in the sideboard. The problem with the swords is, like, they're dead a lot of the time, because you're usually winning when you're attacking them with creatures. So the sword, it's a win more. It's definitely worth running, and it's really, really good. But, like, if you ever draw 2, like in one of the top 8 games, I drew two swords, and I had one in play, and it hit my opponent with it a couple times. This was not on video. And I had a second sword in hand that I was really trying to get a turn where I could double sword him, but, like, it can be hard to, just get the mana available.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it takes a lot of mana to set up sword. When you're hitting them with one sword, you don't normally need another, right? So
I mean, yeah, there's some flexibility. Like, I know Kenny Mayer, Alex Bertensini, and then my friend Ben Friedman, who I beat in the quarterfinals. I think they were all playing 3 swords, so I think I was the only one with 2. But
right.
I mean, you want it sometimes and you don't have it, but you also have fewer hands. Like, there are a lot of hands, especially if you mulligan, where sword is more or less a blank, because you aren't going to be able to use it for like 5 or 6 turns. So it's nice to avoid having that happen.
Right, if you ever like take your opening hand, there's like 2 swords in it. It's like you are down a card, right? So
yeah, I mean, you can get value off them, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
And you're probably winning if you're getting value off those swords.
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, really good job today. How's the Legacy portion going for you so far?
I was told I had a bye for round 1. Turns out that there was a registration problem, so I faced Alex Bertensini in round 1. We were told also we were going to be on video, but that didn't work out. Which was unfortunate because we actually had a really good match. He's playing No Rug and I'm playing Blue White Mystic. So we played 3 games. They were all fairly close. Game 3, he was all in, and I had 1 Brainstorm to dig for a Wrath of God, but couldn't find it, which would have gotten his Progenitus, Tarmogoyf, and Vendilion click, but didn't find it. And then in the 0-1 bracket, I faced AJ Soccer because, ran well yesterday, gotta balance things out, and we were playing the mirror, but he had standstills, which I really don't like, and I have the Visions package, so I beat him in that round.
So sitting at 1-1 now. There you go. So you said you played in Baltimore too. Are you hitting up a lot of the Open Series events? Or?
My first Open was actually Indy.
Okay.
I went because I knew there was the Invitational, so it was going to be smaller and softer. Day one, I was playing Dark Blade and went 7-2 punting twice to onboard math, which is kind of awkward. Both times putting myself dead to exactly lethal when I could have played around it.
Oh no.
So I got top 16, and I was, I think, the only person playing Dark Blade that did well. I don't know, I just really liked the deck. I won a PTQ with it. Just felt really good to me. And then Sunday, I went 7-2 again, losing to just some bad beats, and got top 32. And then Baltimore was my second Open weekend. It was just a disaster. Ben Friedman, who I played in the quarterfinals here, he's from around my area, and I've played him 5 times in our past 4 tournaments, not counting today. Played him twice yesterday, twice in the PTQ, and once in Baltimore at Legacy. Wow. So we play all the time, but works out. I'm 4-1, so at least I'm up.
It seems like a good, okay person to keep playing if you keep winning, right?
Yeah, well, we actually did a split in the top 8, so
that works out pretty nicely.
But I mean, I also won, so I'm not disappointed with the cash payout.
So, are you gonna be hitting up more of the Opens now? Or?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to. This weekend should put me at level 3, which is nice, just to cut $60 off my expenses each weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would love to do well in Legacy today and get even higher than that, but I'm 1-1, so we'll see. I'm definitely going to Pittsburgh, definitely going to the next Baltimore whenever that is. Boston is the one I'm unsure on, because that's sort of a trip, and it's right before the Pro Tour and the Grand Prix, so I'm going to be traveling a lot around then anyway. So we'll see, but I'll definitely be hitting up more.
Excited about Philadelphia? Is this?
Yeah, it's my first Pro Tour.
Yeah,
it was funny last night. I was actually not nervous. Before the top 8 and before top 4, I was not nervous at all. But right now, I'm nervous about Philadelphia. So it feels like a really big deal. Because I actually I didn't stop playing Magic, but I had skipped a million extended PTQs and standard PTQs, and then I go to the first post-New Phyrexia PTQ and just win. So I was like, okay. I'm looking forward to the extended. I'm going to cast Stoneforge Mystic and Jace.
Yeah,
Cryptic Command.
The best thing you can do in that format.
I mean, basically the question is, what's the best Jace Stoneforge Mystic deck? Is it blue-white, black, because I really like Thoughtseize in that format, or Mythic. So
right,
that's going to be the testing. Figure out how to beat the combo decks and figure out which of those 3 decks I want to play.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's it's interesting because it's before the rotation, right? So you can still play with fairies, you can still play a lot of that kind of stuff. But at the end of last season, it was the blue-white decks that were on the top.
The problem is Batterskull.
Yeah.
If Fairies goes turn 2 Bitter Blossom tapping out, you go turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic tapping out. If they don't have a removal spell, they're just going to lose the game because they're making 1/1s and losing life, and you have a 4/4 lifelink. And then also Sword of Feast and Famine is insane versus them, though they also play it.
All right, well, hey, thanks for talking to us, Tim. Good luck in your first Pro Tour. Good luck today.
Thank
you. Looks like pairings are about to go up, but I'll see you around.
All right, sounds good.
Congratulations again. That was Tim Pskowski? Pskowski playing Cawblade, won the Standard Open earlier today. Great work. Very cool stuff. We're going to have Ari Lax coming back in the booth to talk to us for the next match that we have going on today.
Legacy Open players, pairings for round 3
and pairings for round 3 are up. Announcing feature matches right now.
Pskowski versus Ben Weinberg at table 2.